Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Bitcoin has been super unvolatile over the past few days, but that's not what we're going to be discussing, of course. I believe that in the upcoming 24s to, let's say, 36 hours, Bitcoin will likely have a huge move, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing what I think will be happening to the price action, so stay tuned until the end. I will also be going through some fundamental analysis. This is about the Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, but the Ethereum spot ETFs. A couple more breaking news. I'm going to be conducting some sentiment analysis in terms of who's participating in the market right now. Is the retail actually back or not? We'll look into the Bitcoin halving and a lot more. So again, stay tuned until the end. Make sure to smash up the like button if you're enjoying this content. Subscribe if you're not a part of the Crypto Kids community yet, and turn on the notification bell to be alerted as soon as possible when there is an update on the Bitcoin price action. But with that said, let's jump straight in to what's happening on the 4-hourly time frame for Bitcoin. Now, on the last video, I discussed the bearish divergence that has been forming on the price chart and a potential double top pattern that was also forming. Now, the decrease in volume, the bearish divergence, the double top pattern, it was all so similar to what was happening approximately 2 weeks ago. We saw, again, a bearish divergence, decreasing amount of volume, and we also had, of course, a similar double top-ish pattern. And that led into a huge correction that resulted in approximately a 17% move towards the downside. I was, in fact, scared that the same thing could be happening this time around, but Bitcoin may have just been saved by, I don't know the exact saying, but Bitcoin could be saved here. Now, going into the Easter holiday, Bitcoin has not been experiencing too much volume. And that's great. Tomorrow, a lot of banks are closed. I believe the United States Stock Exchange, they are open. So likely going into midday tomorrow, Bitcoin will have this explosive move, which is why I've been saying 24 to 36 hours. As we can see here that the Bollinger Bands are squeezing incredibly on the 4-hourly time frame. And the last time that we had a similar squeeze was back in the 3rd of March. And this led to actually a move of approximately, let's calculate it from when we broke the upper Bollinger Band, of approximately 9%. So I really do believe that going into tomorrow, we will be having a, maybe not a 9% move, but definitely a 5%-ish move could be happening based off of my personal analysis. Now, where will this move actually take us? So what we can see here is since the price has been consolidating in an upwards trend, which is a good sign, Bitcoin invalidated this double top pattern to form an ascending triangle. Now, usually in technical analysis books, ascending triangles indicate a continuation of trend, but there's always the probability that we see a break towards the downside. In terms of my trades, I'm still in a hodl long position. A couple of people asked me on the previous video and on the Telegram group, what is your advice or your recommendations for what to do and what not to do within a bull market? And I mentioned from my personal experience, I never like to short Bitcoin in a bull market. I've made that mistake so many times before, and it was usually not a great sign or a great thing to do. I lost a lot of money by shorting in the bull market. So what I'm doing this time round is actually accumulating Bitcoin by setting buy orders if I expect a drop towards the downside. I've realized that that's the most profitable strategy to convey towards. And if Bitcoin does drop here, if we break below the 69.4K level with bearish volume going into midday tomorrow and towards market open in New York, then it's likely that Bitcoin could be reversing to 66K like I mentioned. However, if Bitcoin decides to break out from this resistance line at 71.2K with bullish volume, we can see that volume has been decreasing. We should be seeing a spike up in volume going into tomorrow. If this will be bullish volume accommodated by Bitcoin surpassing 71.1, 71.2K, which coincides with the upper Bollinger Band and the resistance of this ascending triangle, then I think a retest to the 73.3K region will be possible. Now, either way, this should be approximately towards the upside, a 3-ish% move, so not as big as 9%, but who knows? If we surpass that near all-time high levels, then we could be trending even higher, which would be incredible. But if Bitcoin breaks down, that would be approximately a 4.3% move. So expect a huge move to be happening, whether if you're deciding to long or short. At this point, I think it's up to you. Personally, what I could be doing here is opening a conditional long position if Bitcoin surpasses 71.2. I'm not going to be opening a conditional short. I'm keep on buying Bitcoin on a daily basis anyways, but if you would like to buy Bitcoin, if we in the case that we actually saw a drop towards the downside, then you could be looking into opening limit orders for Bitcoin at 66.7K. That could be an area where you want to DC into Bitcoin in spot. If you're looking to add to your long positions or open a new long position, then you could plan on doing so if we have a successful break towards the upside following a move upwards from the point of 71.2K. And I would set my target like this. I would keep it as a tight stop loss because it's not going to give us a huge win on the trade. But if we do end up breaking from this resistance level, then I think the move will be happening pretty quick. If we go back in the price action, multiple times Bitcoin has broken out, but it turned out to be a fake. So this time, I think it will be a definitive move, and that will give you a risk to reward ratio of 1-5, which is pretty cool. And if you were to set up this trade, of course, do your own research. This is not financial advice. This is something that I would be personally taking. And as a matter of fact, after this video, I will set this position over on Bitflex. You could be making 2.7% in terms of a gain without leverage. So that's pretty cool. Now, moving away from the short-term analysis for Bitcoin, in the macro analysis, I cannot express enough how important Bitcoin, how important of a time Bitcoin is currently in. If Bitcoin finds resistance at the 71.2K level or 71.6, and if we're not able to surpass those levels that I mentioned, then we could be forming somewhat of a double top on the 4-day time frame. What is the likelihood of this? I think if the Consensio, it's now flipped bullish again, like you'll remember from 2 videos ago. I mentioned that if this next candle were to close higher, which it did here, Consensio would be flipping bullish once again. And that's what happened. Until Consensio remains bullish, I'm okay. But if Consensio flips bearish, that's when I will perhaps expect a correction, and that could indicate a top for Bitcoin. But I personally think that the market sentiment is still pretty strong, and we'll jump into all of that data in just a second. But that's the Bitcoin technical analysis. Now let's go into the fundamental analysis and have a look at the overall market review. And by the way, if you do want to learn about the Bollinger Bands, I have an article posted on CryptoKid.com explaining how to use the Bollinger Bands. And this is me with John Bollinger here in Dubai at the CMT conference. And I was incredibly lucky to meet him. Hopefully one day, let me do a manifest. I really want to have him on the channel. He's been recommending me some TA books to read, which I'll share with you after I finish reading them. But what an honor to meet John Bollinger himself. I'll leave a link to this article down in the description below. And if you do want to be trading Bitcoin and potentially taking that trade, then you can get up to 68K worth in rewards and bonuses by using Bitflex with this link in the description below. So stay tuned and make sure to read this article about the Bollinger Bands. Now, what is the most important scenario? We discussed about the Bollinger Bands. That's also very important. But in terms of a macro event, the halving is happening within only 21 days and 8 hours. Guys and girls, this is something that we've all been waiting for the past 4 years. And after the halving happens, you know the drill. We've talked about this probably dozens and dozens of times here, but the amount of new Bitcoin released into the supply is going to be cut in half, and that should increase or decrease the amount of new supply. And then if the demand stays like where it is today, then hypothetically, according to fundamental economics, the price should be continuing to surge and break new all-time highs. That's what we're expecting. With the Bitcoin ETFs, last week has been good, right? We recovered from a completely net outflow week 2 weeks back, and we jumped into a week where Bitcoin ETFs experienced inflows. Now, it's nothing like what we saw 3 weeks ago, but still, this is good for us. And if Bitcoin continues to trend, that's where we have issues. When Bitcoin is trending, GBTC outflows continue to persist, but inflows into the likes of IBIT, FBTC, etc., they tend to slow down and even drop to 18.9 million Bitcoin or $1 million, for example. And that's the point where we should be concerned, because if GBTC outpaces the rest of the ETFs, then we will result in a net outflow. It's important that Bitcoin doesn't have significant drops, doesn't consolidate, and should continue trending higher. And within that case, the ETFs hypothetically would be performing well too. Now, this is jumping into more of the Bitcoin sentiment analysis. What you're looking at on the screen is called the Korea Premium Index. Now, in Korea, the premium for Bitcoin, so the amount of extra traders pay to purchase Bitcoin long positions or purchase Bitcoin spot, they actually pay an increased sum over on the Upbit exchange compared to what is being traded on Binance, because the demand in Korea for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is massive. If you're from Korea, leave a comment in the description below and explain to the audience, because I've seen it. The demand is crazy. Koreans love Bitcoin. And we can see here that the Korean index, the premium index for Bitcoin, so how much extra they're paying for buying a Bitcoin, is relatively high, but it's nothing compared to what we saw in the first stage of 2021. And this is what I want to talk about. Now, if you think that we're in a bull market currently, then I think you would be wrong. This is not a bull market, ladies and gentlemen. A bull market, if you remember, if you go back to 2021, those crazy days, you'll remember that the entirety of TikTok was flooded by Dogecoin. People were saying, okay, I'm not selling. We had crazy names going into crypto and Bitcoin. You'll remember all the artists buying up NFTs going up to millions and millions of dollars. Like, there was so much happening. Everybody around the world was in crypto. It was the thing. It was like the AI of today. But if we compare this bull market sentiment to what it was in 2021, you'll quickly realize, if you remember, that we're nowhere near what was happening then. And even though that is the case, the price of Bitcoin has surpassed all-time highs. That is what I want you to look at. That's the important thing, because if Bitcoin is at 70K and we do not have all of the hype that we experienced 2 or 3 years ago, imagine how far we can go ahead with the price action. That is what's exciting me, to be honest. And if we have a look at the highest crypto app rank in the App Store, which is one of the top indicators in terms of indicating a topping out in the market, back in 2021, Coinbase was ranking in the first place. We can see that it is below the top 100 leaderboard. And the highest crypto rank in a finance category is sitting at the 16th place, back in the top of 2021. That was at like number 1, number 2, number 3. So we're nowhere near the retail drive back into cryptocurrencies. Yes, is it going up compared to where we were in the bottom of the bear market? Of course, 100%, but it's nowhere near what we saw in 2021. Google Trends for an index to buy crypto, that's sitting at 39. Yes, we are skyrocketing in relativity to where we were just a couple of months back, but if we go back into 2021, like I mentioned, we're nowhere near it. And I will leave a link to this website down below as well, because I found it to be very much interesting. And I think you can track the market sentiment very, very nicely. I'll be mentioning it in future videos. So that sums up the Bitcoin sentiment analysis. Let's go into the breaking news. The first thing is that BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says that an Ethereum ETF is possible, even if Ethereum gets announced as a security. So this is super important. Everybody's worried that an Ethereum ETF will not be coming to the market because the SEC will declare Ethereum as a security. But what Larry Fink is saying here is that, okay, even if Ethereum is a security, then it's still possible for an Ethereum ETF to come into the market. That is what shocked me. So I went on and read into this article where the CIO of Bitwise, Matt Hogan, he mentioned in a Forbes interview that, okay, look, I also think that the ETFs will likely be coming into play, but the likelihood of them happening on May 23rd is very little. In previous videos, I shared my detailed analysis into it, so I won't go very in-depth in this video either. But he mentioned that if they come 12 months down the line, TradeFi will FOMO in much more compared to the FOMO that we would see if an Ethereum spot ETF launched today. Why? Because TradeFi needs to get used to Bitcoin, or like we need a time frame where TradeFi accepts Bitcoin, goes fully into Bitcoin. Remember, huge institutions, they're still not into the Bitcoin ETFs. They do not hold some of it in their portfolios. What we're seeing right now, yes, there's a huge demand, clearly, because the Bitcoin ETFs are the best performing ETFs in history, but still major institutions do not hold them. And once they do in the upcoming 12 months, that will probably be the time to create an Ethereum spot ETF, where so many institutions have already recognition in Bitcoin, and they'll be cherry picking, or they'll be, dancing to get a chance of buying an Ethereum spot ETF. And I personally really do agree with what he has shared over there. On top of this, BlackRock's tokenized asset fund has already amassed $245 million worth in deposits in their first week. This is the first blockchain-based token that is represented by underlying securities. I think this is huge. Again, I mentioned it on the previous weeks, but I'll probably dig deeper into it on tomorrow's or on Tuesday's Moon Show, because we're going to be doing a hashtag takeover week on Carl's channel. I'm super excited, but this is something that you should definitely be on the lookout for. More institutional adoption is coming into Bitcoin. This was crazy. Over the weekend, DaVinci went viral again because why? Elon Musk commented under a very popular video that was just a repost of DaVinci's original video back in 2013, and a huge pre-congrats to DaVinci for reaching 500,000 subscribers. I'm sure by the time that this video is up, he would have already been at 500k subs. Go to DaVinci's channel and wish him a happy 500k, because he is, I think, the only person in the crypto industry that deserves millions and millions of subscribers. He's a massive legend. I'm so honored to call him my friend. So he went viral on Twitter once again, like he does periodically, just like meme coins and different AI projects and whatnot. And Elon Musk posted under saying that, God, I wish I listened to my friend who also told me to buy Bitcoin in 2013. And we actually made a reaction video to DaVinci's original 2013 one just a year back, I think. And look, I don't have a beard over there, so I was pretty young. It's not the best of videos, but I'll put a card on the top right-hand side if you want to give it a look. But yeah, moving on, there isn't too much more to discuss. I know this video has been pretty long already. We had a 1.8 or $1.08 billion transaction in Bitcoin that only costed a fee of $17. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine if you did that with gold. First of all, you will not be able to move that much gold from anywhere around the world to some other place, number one. Number two, you're going to probably pay a huge amount of fees for that transport of that gold. And I can probably assume that this took maybe 10 minutes for it to send from one wallet to another. That wouldn't have happened with gold either. So Bitcoin is clearly a better hedge against inflation, a better store of wealth when you put it against any asset globally. And this is just a beautiful representation of that. This is a great chart shared by my friend Rover, and you can see that whenever Bitcoin retests, or this is in 2020, in the year 2020, when Bitcoin retested the prior all-time high, we had a 17% drop, and then after having that 17% drop, Bitcoin trended towards the upside and eventually broke it with mass volume, and we created parabolic new all-time highs. So a similar thing could be happening this time around, as Bitcoin experienced similarly a 17.5% drop, and now if we have a confirmation of a breakout from the prior all-time high with bullish volume, this could take us to the $90,000 levels that I've been speaking on previous videos. Tomorrow is April Fool's Day. Now, I was debating, you know what, I'm not going to share anything, but I'll probably participate in April Fool's Day, but don't be scared if the likes of MicroStrategy says, oh, we're selling all our Bitcoin for gold or something. It's probably a April Fool's Day joke, but I don't know if my heart will be able to tolerate what's happening. Just remember, tomorrow is April Fool's Day. We have some important economic data coming up this week, but I'll alert you as we go along. Nothing too important. The most important one is that on Wednesday, Fed Chair Powell will be giving a speech. We can see here a comparison of how much a home costed back in 1985 and the income of an average household. The ratio is, I would say, pretty good and pretty decent, 23K to 83K. But now if we jump into 2022, which was already 2 years ago, so I think now it would be probably worse, we can see that an average millennial household income is sitting at $74,000 per year, while a house costs $468K. That is the issue, and this could lead to a huge house recession across the world. And I do have a chart that talks about this. It's actually becoming worse than the 2008 crisis, and that is kind of why I'm predicting in the upcoming 2 years we'll probably see a full-fledged recession globally, which will not be nice at all, but it will likely cause a reversal of price in the stock market, traded different commodities, different assets. So if you do keep some cash on the sidelines, it could give you an opportunity to buy the massive dip. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, smash up the like button, but I'll be seeing you all very shortly tomorrow. So everyone, take care and bye-bye.